Got Your Back Pod Stream is brought to you by Mr. Dirk. From casual wear to suits and formals, Mr. Dirk helps you find the perfect fit with the right look for any occasion. Step up your wardrobe at MrDirk.com. Gotta love an off-night pod. Love the off-night pods where everybody's ready to rock and roll. We get Rob Brown right from the get-go. We get Jason Strudwick ready to rock and roll. And Steve Taylor sitting in at the controls out in Kelowna. Let's talk some trade, shall we? And Brett Kulak in conversation. Going to be a dynamite show. Glad you're along for the ride. As always, Got Your Back presented by our title sponsor, Play Alberta, the official gaming partner of all the major Alberta teams. Whoever you cheer for, Play Alberta's cheering you on. Bet on your favorites. Get in on odds, boosts, and make game time more interesting. Deposit today and get a $50 free bet with the code GYB01. Visit playalberta.ca. And I'm coming at you from our Adrenaline Diesel studio, now with an online store for all your diesel truck parts needs. Check out adrenalinediesel.ca. All right, setting up the show. We're going to have Struddy. We're going to have Brownie. We're going to do some trade talk. I know you want to talk about Brandon Saad. We'll go there as well. Brett Kulak. That interview is going to come up in a couple of segments in our takeaways segment. We'll push that back because we also want to dig into the Vancouver Canucks a little bit. More chapters and sagas happening with Jimmy Rutherford and JT Miller and Elias Pettersson and that whole mess. We know you love talking Canucks here, even though it's Got Your Back YEG. We'll have our Taking a Trip segment, Taking a Lap, Ask Us Anything. Going to be a great show. So without further ado, let's get to the crew. Gentlemen, good evening to you. Question for you. How do you feel about breakfast for dinner?
Well, it's a go-to for when my wife's not here. It's automatic. I'm making French
like
toast.
Bowl of cereal?
Huh?
A bowl of cereal?
No. I make French toast or I make chocolate chip banana pancakes. That was my son's favorite. He knew if Mom went away for the weekend, we were only eating a lot of breakfast. Daddy doesn't do dinner very well, so I love having breakfast for dinner.
It's a lazy man's option. Let's just call it what it is. Listen, do I do it? Yeah, I do. But I make omelets. I love making omelets or where you mix up eggs and all that stuff. I'm really big about it, but because you always have something for an omelet, right? You have eggs, you have anything, old beef, old meat, something, just, some sun-dried tomatoes that have been in that jar from Costco for 10 years. You drop it all in there, you're good to go. So I'm all for it, but I always feel like I let my kids down. If I do it to myself, it's not bad, but the other kids, I feel like I let them down.
Oh, no. We build it up. It's like, yeah, Daddy's taking care of you. Mommy would never give you this, would she? Yes, Daddy's the best.
The kids love their waffles and stuff, but I've become a poached egg master. I've mastered the poached egg over the recent couple months, and I'll have that any meal, including dinner for sure. So.
What's the mastery required? Just consistency? Do you prefer it runny? Like what do you master about?
Well, I
used
to have all these devices. You'd have things that you'd put in the microwave and different things you'd put on like top of a pot. I got rid of all that and I do it just old school style. So just the water, the vinegar, you swirl it, you pour the egg in. You have to put the egg in another container and then pour it into the water, let it swirl around itself. And then I've got the timing perfect. 3 minutes for me and it's a perfect runny yolk. It's so good.
Oh, I mean, some people are trying to stop wars. This guy is creating an ultimate poached egg.
Do more with your life, Steve. Do more with your life. Quaddy says, I might have an omelet right now. Paulie says, breakfast for dinner depends on how many pops a guy put back the night before. Yeah, definitely. What else we got here? Everybody seems happy with it. What else we got? Bacon, eggs, hash browns, and toasts for dinner is great, says Obelisk 21. Stepdaughter Avery was in charge of dinner tonight. We do that every once in a while. We put one of the younglings in charge of feeding the family, and she decided to do breakfast for dinner. So we had a little turkey sausage, we had a little bacon, we had some pancakes. We had all sorts of different little breakfast things. And I got thinking, we don't do it often, but it might have to be like a once a month deal, breakfast for dinner, Streds.
Yep, I get it, man. Whatever. If someone's making me supper, I'm not going to say, sorry, I don't eat that. I'll eat it, right? Like I'm halfway through my life. I don't need to keep making dinners every single night. So you want to make me dinner it's a breakfast? Let's do it. Sign me up.
But isn't most of the time the good breakfast that you really make are on Sundays only? Because Monday through the kids are getting up cereal or whatever. So you finally put it together on a Sunday and then you miss a Sunday or two. But if you do it for dinner, it's like you have, a couple hours to prepare. You can make the hash browns the way you want it. You get the crispy bacon. I think breakfast for dinner is a must. And it happens at the Brown House probably a lot more than my wife appreciates it, but that's my go-to. If she says you're cooking dinner, if you're cooking dinner tonight, what do you feel about French toast tonight? You into that?
I can't do eggs though. Kind of, it throws me off. I can't do eggs. So that is such a breakfast staple that it's a little different for me. Ends up being a little carb heavy, And you guys know me. I mean, my body's a temple. That's really bothersome to me if I overdo it on the carbs.
Eggs are too healthy.
Yeah. My stomach is just like, no, sorry. It happened when I was like 40. My stomach just went, you don't get to eat any more eggs there, bud. So, yeah, it's been a downhill spiral at breakfast ever since. Okay, enough of this nonsense because people want to talk trade. Deadline, whatever, like a month and change away to the NHL trade deadline. And it's time for us to start digging into that a little bit. So let's do that tonight in our breakdown segment brought to you by the Alberta Ram dealers. The 4x4 winter event is here. Get up to $11,200 in total discounts on a 2024 Ram 1500 DT Bighorn at your Alberta Ram dealer. Go check out that gorgeous truck at your Alberta Ram dealer today. All right, gents, I fired a note into the chat group today, the Got Your Back chat, to list off what you believe the Oilers' most pressing 3 needs to be come trade deadline time. We ended up with 4, and that's fine. We can dig into all of it. So we're going to go through these needs one by one and figure out how big a need it is. Maybe talk about some options, but let's discuss kind of one by one. And by the way, you go ahead on the stream here and throw in your thoughts on what the biggest needs are and maybe in what order you see them. We're going to start on the blue line, guys. I think we all agree. I mean, starting before the season started, for sure it was going to be like top 4 defensemen we were all kind of thinking. That narrative has changed a little bit here, right? Because of Brett Kulak's play. Going to hear from him a little bit later. But we still agree that it's right up near the top of the list, Brownie. But just what caliber of defenseman they require is TBD somewhat, isn't it?
It is for a few reasons. I think that there were question marks at the beginning of the season. Ty Emberson, a big one. He had 30-some games experience at the National Hockey League level. Is he capable of stepping into a role as a top 4 is what they thought at first. And then what could he do as a top 6? And I think he's probably exceeded a lot of people's expectations. I think he's been fantastic and he's gotten better as the season's moved on. He's got a regular spot on the PK now, which has been very good with him on it. So it took away the pressing need to make a move. Then the signing of Klingberg. Now we don't know what we're getting with John Klingberg. If it's what we saw before he was injured, you have a top 4 defenseman. And now all of a sudden you got a top 4 defenseman in Klingberg. You got Emberson solid as a number 6. And now to me at that point, you're looking for a big bruising defensive defenseman that is a depth defenseman. In case, because I'm not completely sold on Stetcher against LA or Vegas or Josh Brown against LA or Vegas or a team with speed. So I want another depth defenseman involved. Now, if Klingberg, we see him play and all of a sudden he may have lost a step or two. He's not the answer as your number 4. Well, then I think the Oilers at the trade deadline need a 4 or 5 defenseman. But I love the fact, and we talked about it, Struds, when we were talking about Klingberg, sign him earlier so you get the audition before the deadline and you can see what you have in this player and whether or not you need to make another move at the deadline.
Yeah, all really good points. I mean, the truth is Klingberg's a complete wild card. You have no idea what he's going to produce. Sounds like he will play Saturday, according to Darren Drager. So against his old team.
I think it might be tomorrow.
Oh, you think it might be tomorrow? Okay.
Yeah, not to refute what Dregs was reporting earlier. Okay. I think it's a fluid situation with immigration and that sort of thing. I don't know for sure. My gut is he might, but go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, that would be great. If it is tomorrow, I think that's even better. because they got to figure out what they have here. So this is how I see it. If he's unable to be the top 4 defenseman that you need, he gets pushed down to the 7-8 situation, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then you don't have to go out and get a depth defenseman. Now you have to get a 4. If he's able to play at the 4, now you got to go out and find like a borderline 6, 7 type of guy. So it all rests on Klingberg, and he has to show it really quick or not show it really quick to his new team.
For sure. One of the conversations that always happens is you identify a need, but then you also identify what your internal options are. In a worst case, and let's say you can't fill that need, what are your internal options, right? And so when you think about this Oiler blue line, if they don't make any changes here, right? If they stand pat, and let's say Klingberg works out and is serviceable, but probably not in a top 4 role. Let's be conservative about what he's able to do, some third pairing stuff. You look at this blue line and what the options are, guys. You've got Stetcher as an option. Brownie, you just talked about that. You've got Brown as an option. Regula's in the system here. Not sure what his situation will be. They liked him for a reason. But really, it thins out. And if they run into injuries, they're in real trouble. But I guess the other thing I would say to you, Brownie, is, the Oilers are 4th in the league in shots against per game. They are 7th in the league in goals against per game. So, yes, it's about goaltending, and yes, it's about team defense, but quite frankly, the results that this team is getting defensively would not indicate to you that they don't have 6 guys they can put out on the ice that can give them top-level team quality defending.
And then I will throw the argument back at you that if you lose an Ekholm or you lose a Nurse, then you're in trouble. And all of a sudden you're asking a Stetcher to play more minutes. And we saw Stetcher struggled the other night against Seattle with the speed of Seattle and the forechecking of Seattle. So I would like another option with my team if I go into the playoffs, because there's chances defensemen could get hurt. They're the ones that get hurt the most. They're a little soft sometimes, right, Jason? So I think that's so I just I think that's I would like another option other than Troy Stetcher. If you play a team that's big and physical, and I understand that the Oilers have had a really good run, but I think most of it has been on the back of their top 5. And I think that if one of those 5, especially one of their top 3, get hurt, then I think it thins out the Oilers and their depth.
Yeah, I'll just phrase it in a different way. Like, if you always want to have someone that can play in your top 4 that's playing as your 5th. And Kulak, let's just call him a top 4. And I'm not sure, the guy that I think could maybe do it is Emberson. But I don't want to find that out the second round of the playoffs against whoever, Vegas. Can he do it? Let's find out if he can. Now, Broberg did it. He jumped up and played pretty well. But so I think it's nice to have that luxury of a 5th or as a 4th playing as a 5th. And that would be the greatest. And if Kulak stays there, then you have someone else in that 4 spot.
I'm just going to continue playing devil's advocate just a little bit here, because this isn't necessarily what I believe, but this would represent the other side of the argument. You talk about if Nurse or Ekholm get hurt, of course they're going to be in trouble, no question. But you could also make the argument that they have another second pairing defenseman in Kulak that could elevate, and all of a sudden if you're Ekholm and Kulak as your number 2, and then now if maybe all you go and get is a third pairing left shot guy that can insulate you instead of injury, then you've got, you've got a first pairing guy, you got a second pairing guy in Kulak, and you got a third pairing depth guy. So whether or not they need to fill in that, second pairing layer or not, Brownie, I would say given Emberson showing maybe he could be a second pairing right shot, maybe Kulak, right? Left shot, second pair guy. I'm just saying, if they're trying to reason through this in their heads, does that make them feel a little bit better?
Yeah, but right now, who do you have as your second pairing defenseman? Do you have Klingberg being that guy? Because right now, if Ekholm gets hurt and Kulak goes up and plays with Bouchard, who's Nurse playing with? Emberson or Klingberg? Then all of a sudden, who's in your third pairing? So that's why I think the Oilers need, and I agree with Struds, a guy that is like a 5th, a solid 5 that you can throw up there in case, because we don't know right now about John Klingberg. We just don't. So I think I like what Strud said. Now again, we're gonna get to see, what is it? They're 10 games before the deadline, 12 out, something like that, you're going to see a little bit of a stretch of what he can do. And hopefully he is the answer. It would solve a lot of problems and give the Oilers other options they can do at the deadline if they want and find other depth players. But right now, if Klingberg isn't the answer, I'm a little worried if one of the Oilers' top two, and the top two defensemen for the Oilers right now are Ekholm and Nurse. If one of those goes down with an injury, then I think it hurts them more so than some other teams. Like the Vegas Golden Knights, if they lose a defenseman, a lot of their guys are interchangeable. I mean, because they play so much. They've had so many injuries the last number of years. They know exactly what they're getting. The Oilers have been so healthy. You really don't know what the Oilers are getting on their back end from their depth players.
Yeah, more than fair. And I'll be honest with you. I mean, I completely agree with you guys. Like, I do think that a defenseman has to be on the list. Go grab something. Let's see what Klingberg can give you. But I think getting someone who is for sure a third pairing guy, but pushing to be a second pairing guy is ideal, because you have that in Kulak. You have that in Emberson. We'll see what they get in Klingberg. Maybe that's what they have in Klingberg. And then one more of those. Now you got all kinds of competition, and you've got for sure a quality third pairing. So playing devil's advocate a little bit, but I do agree with you guys. Top 6 scoring winger. And remember, there's going to be some cap issues. They're not going to be able to just go get everything they want. So it's not necessarily like, oh, and this, and this, and this. But we identify it as another potential need here. I'm going to list it here at number 2 based on what you guys were saying. So Brownie, in an ideal world, they get a top 6 scoring winger, and who comes out of the top 6?
Well, it all depends which way they go with their lineup. If they go with Leon separately with Connor, so Leon's his own line, then it probably depends if you get a right winger or a left winger. I like Podkolzin with Leon. I do, as the worker bee, but they need a goal scorer. Right now, Skinner and Perry, your 2 fourth-line guys who have been healthy scratches, have more goals than Arvidsson and Podkolzin, who've played primarily with Leon now for months. I mean, they both have 6 goals. That's it on the season. As your second line, playing with the best passer in the National Hockey League. And because they're not getting as much depth scoring out of their second line, that you're seeing Chris Knoblauch go more and more with Connor and Leon and whoever playing together. And you don't want to do that against you don't want to do that against some of the teams in the playoffs. You want to be able to have Connor and Leon separate. So to me, it would be, depending on who you get as a right or a lefty, and it would be Arvidsson or Podkolzin moving down if you're having Leon play center.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. It's to me, the fit is really difficult because it all goes back to Klingberg. It all starts with Klingberg, because if that doesn't work, they've got to put all their assets into addressing that spot, because there are options, maybe not ideal options, guys, for that to play with Draisaitl, but there are options. So I'm going to assume that Klingberg works out in this scenario, and then we can go in there. So if you want to bring in a goal scorer, okay, let's do it. You got to figure out someone who is a big body and they can score. That's the 2 things you need. Those are, I know those guys don't grow on trees, although you can get one. Mikko Rantanen, they're giving them away these days. Out of
why do you want a big body, Struds? Why do you want a big body specifically? Why for that line? If you've got Podkolzin and Draisaitl already, pretty beefy fellas.
2 reasons. Number 1, I want that line to be able to assert itself physically in the offensive zone, ground and pound. And we saw the Oilers do that last year. That's what Florida did, and they need that. Number 2, the Vegas Golden Knights. I believe you got to go through that group to go through them. We've seen Yamamoto against Vegas. It doesn't go well, right? He's just too small. Arvidsson's got a big spirit, and I think I'd be comfortable with him there. Not sure if he'll score as much as others, but Vegas's defense is humongous. They're humongous. You can't have a 5'10" scoring winger on the wing. It doesn't work. Cole Caulfield wouldn't work in that series. And I know he's a great scorer, but he's not going to live through that 7-game series against Vegas.
Yeah, some great points there, Struddy. So if the Oilers don't address this need, their options. I mean, Podkolzin has spent lots of time there. Jeff Skinner has been that before. Corey Perry can moonlight up there, and we saw it at times during the playoffs last year. Kasperi Kapanen has played with skilled players before. You know he can keep up. He's got speed and a decent set of hands. None of the names I'm saying, though, Brownie, are what you would call your traditional top 6 wingers. So it would seem, that this need is fairly significant if you don't love what the options currently present.
Well, of all the options you gave there, I don't like any of them. But the one option that you didn't mention was Evander Kane. And that's just like John Klingberg is a wild card on the back end because you don't know what you're getting. Evander Kane is a wild card on the front because Evander Kane fully healthy, and what we've seen in the past, that's simple. There's Struds. It's a guy that scored and a guy with big body, and could be there's not going to be a fear factor for him against the Vegas Golden Knights. It's going to be the opposite. But you just don't know what you're getting with Evander Kane. And the second surgery that he had, I know that it gives them more cap room, but it takes the way of the audition of what he's going to look like coming back from this injury. So again, another wild card. He could turn out he's healthy and he has a fantastic playoff like Kucherov did a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But it's a big ask and a big unknown, Struds, to find out missing an entire season and coming back at the hardest part of a year to play.
I'm not no insider, guys, and my gut feeling says they have tons of options and they'll just roll with those options and hope that they'll put different guys in there at different times to help that group. I don't know. Because I don't know who the guy is.
You feel they won't address it, Struds? This is one they'll just kind of let her ride because you've got Kane, you've got, if they still have Skinner at that point, we will see. Yeah. Now, this is maybe where the Brandon Saad thing comes in a little bit. If you're the Oilers, you're looking at this spot. You're looking at a guy that had 26 goals last season. You know, he's not massive, but he's a bigger body, right? And
thick. He's thick.
Thick guy. Yeah. I was looking at his, they list nicknames on Hockey Reference. And the Man-Child, Sauter, and the Sod Father, 6'1", 215. He's listed at. So thick. As we know, contract going to be terminated. I wonder how the speed would be in this Oiler lineup. I wonder if they slow themselves down a little bit with him. But again, you can't argue with 26 goals last season. It would almost feel Skinner-like, and that you're bringing him in to see maybe it clicks. Maybe it clicks here and he finds something, you know. My sense is the Oilers are keeping an eye on this. Wouldn't surprise me if there was a certain level of interest there, but they've already taken some flyers. They got a few flyers that are still, they need to figure out if they work out, between Klingberg and, they're still got to figure out what they're doing here with Skinner. Wouldn't surprise me if they were sniffing around and interested. I'm just not sure if it's going to turn into anything. Could that be a viable option, those Struds?
Oh man, I this one, I worry about the speed of the big guy. I think his intentions there, because to me he's a St. Louis Blue type of player, especially when Berubio's there, right? Pretty heavy, good shooter, all those types of things. So you just made the point. How many flyers do you want to take? So he calls up and says, "I'll play for league minimum," which he may. Stan Bowman obviously knows them. You're like, all right, but then someone's got to go out the back door, don't they? Because aren't we at the max number of players? So is Noah Philp going down? Is that close the door on that? Like, I don't know. Or Stetcher, does he get put on waivers? But then if you lose him, maybe, and I'm not saying he will or won't, but he's kind of your depth guy. He's your 7th, 8th guy, right, in the playoffs. So, I don't know. That's a really, I'm more hesitant Brownie than I was with Klingberg.
Well, what's funny about him is for the Oilers, the first 2 rounds could be Vegas and LA, 2 big teams. I wouldn't call them fast. I would call them teams that they box you out. They're physical. They're strong. Brandon Saad, he had 26 last year. I looked at his last number of years. He's a 20-goal guy every year. And the only time he doesn't get 20 games is when they didn't have enough games that year. So he's a 20-goal minimum a season. So it's not like this is the first really off year that he's had. Now, I don't follow him at all. I don't watch any St. Louis games. But to me, if you can get him at league minimum, and I mean, he's right now he's betting on himself. He's giving up money in St. Louis to bet on himself that he can prove that he can play still in the National Hockey League. Somebody's going to sign him. He will play somewhere before this season is over. Corey Perry can't skate very fast. He's been very effective for the Oilers since he's been here, put in a role that allows him to be successful. He's got a track record. The general manager of the Edmonton Oilers, he played for Chicago. I believe he win 2 Stanley Cups there, I believe, with the Chicago Blackhawks.
I think he's got a couple, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, he kind of fits everything that the Oilers always look for. A veteran player that's won before, leadership in the room. It would not shock me at all if Saad is here within a week or so, and he somehow finds his way into the lineup for the Edmonton Oilers.
And keeping in mind, I believe Stan Bowman drafted him, acquired him. in trades. Like he's like the player. So definitely something we'll keep an eye on. Okay, let's push through a little quicker. Our last two, we identify a fourth line center as a potential need here. We're watching Noah Philp audition for the role right now, although he did skate at practice on the wing. So I think the Oilers are going to potentially take a look at him on the wing just to sort of see what that looks like at some points. How significant, Struds, do you think this need is, given if it's not somebody new, it's one of Janmark, Philp, Ryan, or you go the three-headed monster down the middle with Adam Henrique as your fourth-line center. Where do you think this one is on the list?
I think it's pretty important for them. I do think a right shot center that can win draws is important. Just as a D-man, I want to know my guy can get out there and win it. And Noah's done all right with the face-offs. He's trying to figure it out on the fly here. But he's a big body, he can skate. But just in those critical moments, are you going to put him out there in a shorthanded situation with 3 minutes to go in the game to win that right shot? I don't know that you're going to put him there. You're probably sending Leon out, if we're being honest. And you might send Leon out over top of anyone, Brownie.
Well, you're right. I think if you want to know what the Oilers think come trade deadline, watch the next 3 or 4 games. Is Noah Philp playing on the penalty kill? Because if he's not killing, then I don't think he's going to be the answer for them. I believe they're going to want a guy that can win faceoffs in their own zone in hockey games, so they don't have to fear putting him out there. And they're going to want to find him a guy that can penalty kill. Because if you don't penalty kill or play on the Oilers power play and you're a fourth line and you're not finding ice time, especially as you get into the playoffs, I don't think they want Janmark as a fourth line center. I think they love his speed on the wing. He is fast. And I just don't think you want to put him there. I think you'd rather have a bigger physical body that's, it's late in the period. Your fourth line's out there. They accidentally ice the puck. Out comes Jack Eichel to take a face-off. I think they want to make sure they have someone on their fourth line that can win that draw and be good defensive against the other team's best players if they get caught in that situation.
Physical depth forward, Strud. You chimed in on the chat saying you really felt like there was a specific type of bottom six player that they need. What and why?
Yeah, I would like Evander Kane from a couple of years ago in the playoffs. That's what I want. And I think they need that. He brings an element, or that style of player brings an element that I think is important in the playoffs, a heavy and a little bit of unpredictability. So I think I'd be having that right behind my D-man probably as far as what I'm looking for, because they're not the most physical group in that bottom six. This and I actually have in our taking a trip, I've identified the guy. So I'll text Stan Bowman. We've got it already. But I'll say that one for later. But to me, it's a no-brainer bringing this type of player.
Well, to go on what Strudge just said there, think of Evander Kane against Drew Doughty. Think of what he did, how physical he was on Doughty. Doughty's one of the best that's ever played the game. And at times, he was throwing the puck away, preparing himself to get run over by Evander Kane. Think about playing against Vegas, going after Peter Angelo time and time again, or Hanifin time and time again. As you said, Shagar, a lot, the Oilers are not a physical team. So you're not going to wear down Doughty or Pietrangelo or Hanifin or Theodore or whoever you play in the playoff physically with the Yanks, the Browns, the Kapanens. But you will if you have Kane or another big forward, as Struds is going to tell us who it is, time and time again. Evander Kane went out every shift to hit someone and to hit him hard.
Yeah.
The Oilers could certainly use that in the bottom six.
Yeah. This isn't the guy you're going to say, Struds, but Trent Frederick's name comes up a lot. Obviously, the Bruins would probably like to keep this player if they can, but plays the game that way, can score some goals. You've got another suggestion coming up, but we're going to make people wait a little bit. I wonder if there isn't a player out there that can maybe fill a couple of those roles, potentially. He could be moonlight in the top six as a scoring winger, could be fourth line center if you need. Is there a catch-all somewhere out there who could maybe do a lot of this type of stuff? A forward you can bring in that could fill in maybe a few of those different roles. And don't exactly know the answer on that. I mean, Ryan Donato's, he's got 15 goals this year, could play center, could play the wing. He's a left shot. He's not a right shot center necessarily, playing on the Chicago Blackhawks. He's got some experience in the last year of his deal. So anyways, we'll talk lots more about who the potentials might be in the weeks and the months to come. Yep.
But Shagar, Ryan Donato has less hits in the game than you do off the tee. He's not the guy.
Oh, I know. He doesn't have that physical element at all, but he's scoring some goals. Are you kidding, man? I was crushing it in the sim today. Shot 79 in the sim today, Struds. Now that was with putting turned off, like it estimates your putts for you.
Yeah,
but I was solid off the tee, and the long irons were good, buddy. So you keep chirping while I'll keep practicing, and the rematch is coming out at Belvedere this year. And Brownie, you can come play along this year too if you want.
I can hardly.
You got to give us strokes though. You got to give us lots of strokes.
Yeah,
from
9 aside.
From watching you swing, sometimes I think you might have a stroke while you are playing. So I'll bring some strokes.
Love it. All right. You know what, guys? Before we get to our break here, let's get to Strudge. You got a relentless player tonight, buddy. There's other stuff going on out there. So why don't we get to our relentless player, brought to you by UCAN Youth Services, their annual comedy night. We're looking forward to it. It's almost here. And there are 2 ways that you can help support youth in our community. Purchase a ticket or a table for one of the unforgettable comedy nights, or donate items or experiences to be featured in the silent auction. Your support can make all the difference. Donate or grab your tickets at ucan.ca. I had a listener reach out the other day, said they were going to put a little silent auction package together for Chris and the great crew over at UCAN. What do we got, Struds?
We're going to go to Toronto, where the Minnesota Wild beat them 3-1, 3 in a row loss for the Leafs. But Philip Gustafson, the netminder, played really well, made 31 saves. Tomorrow we know that Marc-Andre Fleury will play his last game in Montreal, so he'll play tomorrow when the Wild visit there. But Gustafson was good tonight, made some good saves, and the Leafs are reeling right now with no ability to score.
That's a good one. The Wild right now playing with some injuries. No Kaprizov now for a minimum 4 weeks having surgery, yet they still find ways to win. Wild are a good hockey club. And I am pretty excited to see, I don't know if I'll see the whole game, but just to see the ovation tomorrow night for Fleury in Montreal. I think that's going to be pretty cool.
100%. Yeah, that'll be great. Okay, that was our breakdown brought to you by Alberta Ram Dealers. Quick break. When we come back, we're going to take a couple of laps next. So 2 items we're going to get to. It'll be part of our De Boers poll as well. The saga continues with the Vancouver Canucks and the Utah Yeti. It's not happening. So they put out 3 options and are letting fans have a say. We'll give you those 3 options and ask for your thoughts on that. That's coming up in Take a Lap. Tons left on the show. Stay with us here on Got Your Back.
At Gallery Dental, we believe in blending exceptional care with artistry to create the perfect smile for you. From routine cleanings to advanced cosmetic procedures, our team is dedicated to providing top-notch care in a relaxed and comfortable environment. With state-of-the-art technology and a passion for perfection, we ensure that every visit is a positive experience. Join the Gallery Dental family and let us help you achieve a smile that you'll love to show off. Contact us today at secolandentistry.com.
So at Timberhouse, our guiding philosophy is naturally inspired living. We believe that through design, we can solve problems and enhance people's lives. We follow biophilic design principles in all of our builds to incorporate natural materials, natural light, to enhance all the spaces in a home. When you have your space perfectly reflect who you are and what you value, and it's made well, we think that that just leads to better living.
Brett Kulak's interview coming up in our takeaways segments in a little bit here. But for now, time to take a lap, brought to you by Acon. If you're a skilled tradesperson or construction professional and you're looking for work in Western Canada, Acon wants to hear from you. They're looking for skilled tradespeople and construction professionals to join their team and start building what matters today. Join Acon now by sending your resumes to trades@acon.com. That is trades@acon.com. All right, gentlemen, the saga with the Vancouver Canucks continues. Jimmy Rutherford going very public in an article in the Globe and Mail, basically confirming what, in Gary Mason's article, what the media out there has been talking about for months and months. I'll read a couple of the quotes here. I felt like for a long time there was a solution here because everybody has worked on it, including the parties involved. But it only gets resolved for a short period of time. Then it festers again, And so it certainly appears like there's not a good solution that would keep the group together. So if a center goes out, here we have to get some kind of center back, but it's not going to be the same as the center going out. It might not even be a number 2 center. You have to do the best with what we have until we figure out how to fill that spot back in. And then the other one that really raised my eyebrow a little bit was about Quinn Hughes, and the potential for Quinn Hughes to stay. He said, if we're going completely to start over, that means he goes. We'd like to figure out a way that he's here forever. In other words, Quinn Hughes not really wanting to be part of a tear it down, rebuild. And so they have to consider that. So we've got some reaction from JT Miller today as well. We'll get to that in a minute. But Struds, what do you make of Rutherford doing that article and going real public with what has been so heavily speculated?
I'm trying to understand what his plan is. He's a very shrewd guy. He's been around a long time. So, a lot of people interpret, he's just giving up. He's just saying this. He has a reason for this, to put this out there and put it so public. I don't know if it's try to, maybe shame's the wrong word, but make the players involved feel like we should figure this out. Maybe it's just trying to wave the white flag and people think he's ready to give up, and then they're going to still try to make a good deal. Like I don't understand it, because I don't remember a GM ever coming out and sounding like they don't have any answers. Like if he truly doesn't have any answers, Brownie, that makes me pretty nervous as a player on that team.
I mean, he's the president of the team too. I mean, so it's the only thing I can think of, and as I agree, I don't think he's doing it without reason. My guess is he's kind of telling the fan base, hey, we're going to have to make a move. I don't want to, but my hands are tied. Right. You're probably not going to be happy with what you get back. So you know what? Do not get mad at us when we bring back so-and-so for JT Miller or so-and-so for Elias Pettersson. I've been involved with hockey from junior on for 40 years. I've been on teams where not everyone got along. There's been fist fights on teams, fist fights in dressing rooms, fist fights at parties, fist fights on the ice. I've never, ever seen it carry over for more than a day or two. And I've never seen it tear a team apart. The Vancouver Canucks, if you look at where they were last year in the playoffs, this was a team that was going to battle the Oilers and the Golden Knights for the next 5-7 years. They got Quinn Hughes, they got Demko, they got Miller, they got Pettersson. This is a team that should be in the mix. And it has been absolutely destroyed because two guys can't get along. I don't know. To me, it's got to be more than just two personalities not liking each other. But I have never in all my years, Strud, seen anything like this where two players' dislike for each other has torn apart an entire franchise that if they do make the wrong move, may not recover in the next number of years, to the point where they may have to get rid of, as you just talked about, Shagar, one of the best defensemen in the world. It's really, really sad.
Can you imagine, Elias Pettersson's trade value right now? I would say to you guys, you tell me if you disagree with me. I would say that I'm not sure where the problem actually lies, which one of them, if it's one more than the other. I'm not sure whose fault all of this is, but I would say that Pettersson's trade value is probably down more than JT Miller's would be. I think people would view JT Miller and kind of go like, hey, you know what you're getting? He's a fiery guy, and, we will take that. Versus Pettersson maybe would be viewed as the guy that didn't perform well in the playoffs, light on his skates, not the most intense, is having a heck of a time getting past whatever is going on right now in the production and such. So can you imagine trading Elias Pettersson with his trade value where it is in this moment, Struds?
I think both will have their buyer beware. Pettersson hasn't played well since Christmas last year. So and then he said it was his knee, and he came back and still hasn't gone. So is it his knee? Is it whatever's going on in the dressing room? And then for Miller, if I was a coach, I'm like, wait, we're trained for this guy? If he is even 50% of the problems going on there, you want to bring this into my dressing room right now? Like, do you want him to come into Chicago with a young guy like Connor Bedard? Is that the guy you want leading my team? And so I'd be very, very, very careful on both of them, because they're massive deals and they both have buyer beware.
You're right. And on Pettersson, he's $11.5 million player for what's he got, 7-8 years left. So it's not like you can, okay, it didn't work out. We made the trade we got him for 10 more or 8 more years. I mean, that's a franchise player, and he has not been good, and he has not been good for a while. And as you said, Struds, if Miller has completely shut down your best player, like he's supposed to shut down the other team's best player, he's actually shut down his own team's best player. Yeah, but I do agree with you though, Shagar, though. If of the two right now that I would touch, it would be JT Miller, just because as much as his production is down, his contract is better. And there are other aspects of his game. And we saw him fight the other night against the St. Louis Blues. So there are other aspects of his game that you really, really like that Pettersson just doesn't have in his game.
Not my name says Rutherford decided to stop the rumors and let the players sort this out for themselves with no more excuses. He's calling them out to be professionals. Brownie, I don't think you were on the show. I threw out the idea like a month ago. I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but at some point here, in terms of letting the two of them sort it out, healthy scratch them both. Healthy scratch them both and have them sit in the press box together during the game and say, we'll play you guys when you're ready for this truly. In the meantime, you can watch your teammates suffer without you. You can sit up there. We're going to tell everybody that's why we're doing it. Like, just throw the onus so directly on these two players that it just, I have no idea what would happen, but it probably wouldn't be worse than what is currently transpiring right now. So I still don't know if it's a good idea, but hey.
I mean, having said that, JT Miller left the team for a month. So it's not as though he's it would really bother him if he was away for the team or if he's sitting in the press box watching his team struggle without him. From the sounds of it, they've tried everything, or they believe they've tried everything. I'm just shocked. Honest to God, I'm shocked that two guys can't. Like, it used to be, Strudge, you go to a bar, you have a couple beers, you get into a fight, then the next day you come, all right, okay, we're good, let's get over this. But this is scary.
Yeah. Some sound from JT Miller today. We will get to our Weiss Johnson sound box. Weiss Johnson is offering 10% off any new furnace installed before March 1st. Should you need to replace your furnace because it's stopped working or if it's just getting old and unreliable, like Schwede's D-Zone coverage. If you want a new, better model that's more efficient, mention you heard it on Got Your Back. When you book your estimate, you'll get 10% off your new furnace price. Visit weiss-johnson.com today. Jingle.
Weiss Johnson, whoa.
Okay. Here's JT Miller. Like, I don't know, a couple of months ago when this first started cropping up and, the reporters did their reporting thing and went and asked JT Miller about this. And Miller did what so many people are doing these days, and they're just blaming the media.
I've created this thing. Like, this isn't a thing. So am I bothered? No, but you guys are just wasting your time.
How do you about hearing of it?
I don't care. You guys want to talk about it? You want to ask me? Ask me all you want. I can bring up Petey and we can do the interview together if that would make you guys happy.
Basically accused the media of creating something that wasn't there. Well, we all know where that landed. So those reporters doing their job, because the president of the team said, yes, it's happening. Yes, it involves those players. And yes, it's probably too far gone. They circle back with JT Miller today and say, hey, so this is happening. Any comment?
What's your reaction to Jim Rutherford's comments yesterday or this week on the situation with you and Petey?
I don't know.
You don't have any comments? No. Is there still all good between you two guys?
I'm not commenting on this.
All right, there you have it. Absolutely no comment whatsoever. Struds, what do you make of it?
I don't know even to make it anymore, Shagar. I mean, it's obvious there's something going on. We don't know
with him today.
Extent.
What do you make of him today?
Today, I don't even want to make of that. Now he doesn't want to talk about it. Like to me, I watched it. It looks like JT Miller's done. He looks like he's just done. He doesn't want to talk about it. He's just done. Like if you're being honest, he probably just wants to leave. Like it is just, it must be horrendous in that dressing room right now. But what is he going to say? Like, well, there is a problem. Okay, everybody knows there's a problem. I guess you acknowledge it. Maybe at least you're being truthful. But, no one's going to we don't know the truth because it can't just be he's not happy that Pettersson doesn't pass him the puck. It runs deeper than that, Brownie. It's not, I believe this runs much deeper than just a hockey issue.
Oh, I agree. I think it's something that's happened in the dressing room or on a flight or some, I don't know, a physical confrontation. I don't know what it was, but it's, again, I don't think it has anything to do with the game of hockey. I think this is something happened elsewhere that has created this rift that cannot be fixed. As for what he said today, I agree with Struds. I watched him play the other night. He looked like he was done halfway through the game against the Oilers. He would take 12-second shifts and just get off the ice. So it's like, you know what? I'm done. If then all of a sudden they got close, there was a sniff, and then he brought his game up a bit. But just his comments, I think I agree. I think he wants out, and he wants out quick, and he's hoping it just eventually goes away.
The Neon Rider says, where's Patrick Allvin on all this? No comment from the GM. Well, Neon Rider, his boss came out and had something to say instead. So, you know what? Really interesting situation they got going on there. Like, interesting for Rutherford to do that interview, for Allvin not to, the power structure there. It's interesting. But bottom line, you know, it's been messy. It's been really messy. And this organization has had nothing but distractions. And, you know, this is not a good look for Jim Rutherford, quite frankly.
But my final thought, Shagar, how can the team move forward with this over their head? The answer is they can't. You can't.
Mm-mm.
So either you hang on to the end of the year, hope you make the playoffs and you have some magical run, or you trade a guy away now at a discount because they won't get a good deal, or you hang on knowing you'll probably get a better deal this summer. They can't move on, man. To me, there's no moving on.
And I think that's more or less what Rutherford said today. He said, "Yep, there's nothing we can do. We're done."
Yep. Time to move on. We will move on from this topic. Our second lap that we're going to take involves our De Boers Golf Shop and Fitting Center YouTube poll. Are you fired up yet for the upcoming golf season? The 2025 gear from TaylorMade Ping Callaway arriving at De Boers. Get ahead of the fitting rush. Schedule your appointment today, located at 5311 99th Street in Edmonton. Steve, you can tell us the story about the Utah Not Yeti, because that copyright is just an issue. It's not going to happen. I thought it was a good name. I kind of hope that's what it would be, but it ain't happening.
Yeah, I think that was the one that fans clearly chose, and it's not happening. So now they're doing another vote. And so we're going to put it out on the poll, and we'll send the results of the poll to the Utah Hockey Club and see if they influence anything for them. But so the question simply is, which name would you choose for Utah's NHL team? And the three options that fans of the Utah Hockey Club get to vote for are the Utah Hockey Club, Utah Mammoth, or the Utah Wasatch. That's it.
Yeah, so I looked up Wasatch.
Yeah,
Wasatch.
It's a mountain range.
It's a mountain range, yeah. So it'd be like us calling it the Edmonton QE2s.
Do you think they just threw a crappy one in there because they're only okay with the other two? Like, that's a terrible option for me, and I hope there isn't some connection that I don't know about, that I'm being disrespectful to somebody because of this. That's not what I'm saying. But that does not sound good to me at all. Am I on an island here?
That. Let's go Wasatches. Let's go Wasatches. Like, does that roll off the tongue?
I think they would say Wasatch. Let's go Wasatch.
Well, is that plural? Is Wasatch plural or Wasatches? I don't know. I don't want to have to find out if I'm a Utah fan. I love the Utah Hockey Club. That's where I'm placing my money, my vote.
Seriously, their mascot's going to be this mountain walking around in the stadium, handing out little toys to kids, little mountains.
The Wasatches.
What do you want, Brownie? What are you, Steve, Brownie? What do you guys want, Brownie?
Wasatches.
I've got that. I'm talking about it in my Brownie points. I would be D, none of the above.
Okay. All right. We'll get to that. That's coming up right away here in Brownie points. Steve, what are you?
Yeah, I'm a hockey club fan. I like Utah Hockey Club. I think it's
I love it.
It's fine.
Reaper throws in Summit, Utah Summit. I have not heard that suggestion before.
Oh.
Don't hate it right out of the gate, I would say.
Yeah, there's a decent
huge
amount.
hiking state. Okay.
Simple 101 said the Utah Abominables. David Butler said the Utah Snowman.
Utah MTCs, Mormon Tabernacle Choirs.
Yeah, that's true.
They're famous there in Salt Lake, so the MTCs.
Some stranger recommends Utah President's Choice.
They said Noel Rinsky says they'll go with Mammoth simply because of merch sales. Yeah, you want a Mammoth. Yeah, that's it's a decent name that you could definitely go hard with the merch sales there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the. Yeah, I don't know. I like
Mammoth. Like that works.
Mammoths.
True.
Let's go Mammoths.
Oh, now all of a sudden you're putting the plural on the end. Who are you, Shakespeare? You get to decide what and what doesn't.
I think
Have
it's
plural
Mammoth.
on the end.
Thou doth protest too much. All right, that's our De Boers Golf Shop and Fitting Center. I think that's 3 times this year on the show that you and I have had that exact same exchange, and my retort has been the exact same strut. It's getting old for people. All right. With that in mind, let's get to Struddy's world there, Steve-O. So why don't you go ahead and roll the animation?
When you make a mistake, heads should roll. It's not right. And I'm here. Someone has to put their foot down. Now that I say it out loud, it does sound a little crazy. Gotta look good.
All right, time now for Struddy's World, brought to you by Timber House Developments. If you need a little extra space for the in-laws, Timber House Garden Suites are perfect for keeping them close, but not too close, right? Designs are unique, anything but cookie cutter, and the experience of building with Timber House is second to none. They'll treat you like family, build a great house or garden suite, and take care of you for years to come. Visit timberhouse.ca. Okay, big guy.
I've been doing Wordle for every day for about 2 years, I should say. And
I'm sorry, how long? What? I'm sorry.
2 years.
Clarify.
My bad.
2 years?
2 years.
Thanks.
Just over
Yeah,
365
okay.
days.
Continue.
So my longest streak, I got it up to 58 after about a few months, and I crashed and burned. It was so sad. I couldn't believe I missed it. Since that time, I'm not sure I've had one over 20. Every time I get into the high teens, really over 10, I start getting nervous. The thumbs get a little sweaty, start, stiffer hands. I worry that I'm going to get wrong and I don't want to start over again. So I think I have the yips, you see some guys get nervous when they play baseball, they can't putt. That's what I have with the Wordle. So if anyone has any advice to get over the top, my goal is to try to get 100. I'd love to get 100 days. And I recognize that's 3 months, or just over, but I think I can do it. I'm at 9 right now. So this is why it's on my mind. Going into number 10, I'm already nervous for tomorrow morning, guys.
Really? I see. I do the Wordle sometimes just before I go to bed, or sometimes when I wake up. I can't remember the last time I got one wrong. Sometimes it takes a little longer.
What?
I start with the same word every time. Abide.
What's your
Get
go-to?
rid of three vowels right away.
Abide. Nice.
Abide.
Nice.
ABID.
your word.
ABIDE.
Yeah,
So
that's
all of a sudden
good.
I got 3 vowels out of the way. So now it just sets me on a course. So now I know what the vowels are. So yeah,
What's
so
your streak?
I do enjoy Wordle. Huh?
What's your max streak?
Have you done I don't count. I don't remember getting any wrong.
No, it shows on your
Have you ever
thing.
I don't do that. I always go in as I don't go on. I've never signed in.
So
Have you ever done Octordle? Have you done Octordle where there's
I play
You just
Octordle.
lost. You just
No,
lost all your credibility,
Octordle is
Brownie.
fun.
You can't not do it.
No,
Why?
Struds. Not everybody's manhood hinges on every single competition for every single thing they do in their life to try and challenge. Just do it when you feel like it and don't worry about it. How about you stop worrying about it so much?
No, let me just say, let's repeat what he said. He said, I just do it. I don't remember ever getting one wrong. So if you've never got one wrong, you should have a long streak. You should be in the app so you can show it. True word.
Why do I care?
We follow the
You
rules.
can't get past it. You don't care. You don't care.
I don't care.
You're the guy that
get that
goes
little
golfing.
emotion that, oh, I got it. And then I mock my wife for a little bit because she's struggling, and then I feel good about myself. But no, I don't. I don't need that. I do
You're the guy that shoots
Octordle just
around
to
his
make
life
it a
and
little more
golfs by
fun.
himself. That's what it is.
I don't
It's
golf by
outrageous,
myself.
man.
I don't golf. But I don't get upset
by
or
myself.
stressed about these things, Jason. I mean, we're just here
I'm
for
being
fun.
vulnerable here. I'm trying to open up.
You're being
You play it,
angry.
Sugar?
What's that?
You play it? Do you have a official streak counter?
No. I mean, I'll do it when I feel like it and when I
That's
remember,
fine.
but my mornings are busy, Struds. I mean, I got a business to run here. I'm a full-time reporter at the network. Like, I got lots of stuff going on. I can't sit around playing Scrabble with myself in the mornings.
Yeah, you can fit in a 4-hour golf sim in your garage, but you can't play Wordle for 30 seconds. What's your streak, Steve? Is it official? And is it official? That's number one.
I haven't played Wordle in so long. Since I started Octordle, I stopped playing Wordle, so I don't even remember, to be honest.
What did you
Strud,
just
have you tried
say?
Octordle?
Octordle.
No, I have.
Octordle.
I can only focus on one thing at a time. That's
Well,
all I got.
Oh, it's
That's all
awesome. You do 8 of them at the same time. It's 8 Wordles at once.
Oh, wow. Oh,
It's
geez.
really fun. We'll start it in the chat. We'll get it going.
Okay, I'll take a look. I'll take a gander.
We did have a suggestion for you here, Struds. Where was it? Mike Smith. Struddy's going to renovate his home. He's going to put a Wordle simulator in the garage, says Mike Smith. He also says, I'll give him credit, 2 good ones in a row. He says, hey, Struddy, try some Wasatch cream for those sweaty thumbs. Natural mineral cream from northern Utah. Thank you, Mike Smith, for dropping a couple of gems into Struddy's world. All right, Struds. Well, hey, You make sure you update us tomorrow night after the game if you got to 10, bud. We'll all be sitting here waiting with bated breath.
I'll put in the group chat, guys, because mine is documented. It's official. It's not just random.
Send us if we don't see a screenshot, it didn't happen. No credibility. That was Struddy's World, brought to you by Timber House Developments. All right, play some happy music. Let's get rocking and rolling with some brownie points, shall we? Brought to you by Hamel's Premium Jerky. If you need a unique idea for your team or school's fundraiser, they can organize and help you raise some money by customizing a bunch of options of their world-famous jerky. 13 flavors in that all-new jerky and pepperoni bundle. Something for everybody. And for the month of January, free shipping Alberta-wide on orders over $55. Go to albertajerky.com. Truly awesome beef jerky and the pepperoni jerky. Fantastic. Great snack. Keep it in your backpack. Keep it in your truck. Hamel's Premium Jerky. Brownie, rock and roll.
All right, let's start by giving 73 brownie points to former Oiler coach Todd McLellan, whose Detroit Red Wings having a 73% winning percentage since he's taken over. The Edmonton Oilers, who we all know are playing very well, have an 11-4 record since Christmas. So do the Detroit Red Wings under Todd McLellan. So this is it's not a free bingo square tomorrow against the Detroit Red Wings. They are for real, and give credit to Todd McLellan, who's come in and changed the culture there. I've got minus three brownie points to the Utah Hockey Club that has decided on one of three names for their hockey team, and honestly, they all suck. And seriously, the Utah Wasatch? Come on, there are roughly 1 million words in the English language. There has to be at least one better than Wasatch. I've got eight brownie points for LA Kings and possible Team Canada defenseman Drew Doughty. Made his season debut tonight since fracturing his ankle in the preseason. This is obviously good for the LA Kings and possibly good for Team Canada for the Four Nations tournament. I got minus 49 to the Vancouver Canucks drama. So far, the coach, the captain, and now the president of the team have spoken publicly about an unfixable rift between two of its best forwards. This rift has started the destruction of a very good team and overshadowed another amazing season by their captain, Quinn Hughes. And my last one, 43 brownie points to everybody's favorite Calgary Flame, Rasmus Andersson, for his impersonation last night of Washington Capitals' Tom Wilson. I don't know if you saw this, but Wilson early in the game got slashed and went down holding his side and whining to the ref. Later in the game, Wilson kind of slashed Rasmus Andersson and he mimicked Tom Wilson and pretended he was hurt, and he looked at him, oh my God. They both got unsportsmanlike penalties and both for the entire commercial break screamed at each other. I know most people here in Edmonton hate Rasmus Andersson. He's a guy you want on your team, and oh my God, it's funny. So watch him imitating Tom Wilson. It was worth it. So those, well, actually, I'll have another brownie point tomorrow, but it'll be for Strides after we hear what happens with his Wordle. So that'll be tomorrow night. And those, Shagar, are my brownie points.
Love it. Phyrogenaceous says, I agree. The fact they took an extra year to choose, and these are their choices, is a serious blunder. Brownie, before we let you go for the night, Struds, we were going to hit on this a little bit. Mark Stone on Miro Heiskanen last night. Heck of a good defenseman, difficult play. Struds, what do you think?
Okay, well, I have a real hard time watching these where guys' legs just buckle. So you threw it in the group chat. I watched it once. As soon as I saw it, I pretty much turned away. So, and I'm sorry, I can't watch it again. I'll watch hits where guys don't get hurt, but it's so hard, and it sounds like, it could be significant. From what I saw to the lead up, Mark Stone kind of gets tripped and he kind of launches forward and runs into a knee that's just steadied there by Heiskanen. It is awful. I tell you, don't watch it.
You can stop talking about it if you want. Brownie, what did you think?
So I don't know if it's dirty. I didn't look at it enough, Shagar, because I don't have the stomach for it. I'm being honest.
You're an NHL analyst.
Well,
that's right.
It's funny though.
Look at injuries.
All right.
Struds, I've been fortunate to do probably 50 or 60 TV games for the Oilers. And there have been a couple of times where guys have gotten hurt. And I've actually said on air, you guys can watch this from home by yourself. I will not watch it here. I can't watch it myself. Yeah. It seriously grosses me out too. I cannot watch it. That last one last night, I watched up to contact and I watched both angles and it looked like he got tripped. I like the Stars coach DeBoer said, I know Mark Stone, he wouldn't do it on purpose. He's not that kind of player. To me, it just sucks. I love Heiskanen as a player. He's one of the best in the world. And again, as Strauss says, it looks like it's something that's going to be long-term. which could devastate the Dallas Stars team going forward in a playoff run. If they don't have Heiskanen, they're not getting out of their division. So I hope it's not that bad. But I couldn't watch it either, and I don't think it was intentional. I don't think there was intent on it. I don't think there will be a suspension, but that does nothing to the Dallas Stars being without their best actually might be their best player.
Yeah, I think you can not be a dirty player, but make a play that isn't great. And I think that he was tripped to a degree. I think he toe picked, but I still think he made a choice to lunge at the puck, understanding where he was and not being quite careful enough in that moment. So I'm not going to let him completely off the hook because I still think there was a choice that he made. That was not strictly just momentum from falling that threw him into the legs. He still made the choice to lunge, and that put the player at risk. So no, not necessarily a dirty player that would do something like that on purpose, but I didn't love the decision in the moment. And to your point, a real good player now is going to be missing potentially for quite some time here. We'll see. Fingers crossed. And for the Four Nations and everything. I mean, goodness, he's going to miss that,
Yeah,
I
that's too
would
bad.
assume. But tough goal. All right, Brownie, thanks for everything, buddy. Great job tonight.
All right. Sounds good. See you guys. Good luck with your Wordle tomorrow, Jason.
Two fingers crossed.
Yep, sounds good. Okay, when we come back, had a nice little chat with Oiler defenseman Brett Kulak. Takeaways coming up next here on the show. Stay with us.
At HSE Core, we are dedicated to providing unparalleled safety compliance services to small and medium-sized businesses through our monthly health and safety program management, including managing contractor screening registries and core auditing services. Let HSE Core Services help you maintain a safe workplace for you and your valued employees. Visit us at hsecore.com.
Ready to go all in this season? Mr. Dirk's got you covered with express on-site tailoring, a wide selection of craftsman-made suits, sport coats, and casual staples for every occasion. Score big with Mr. Dirk. We've always got your back. Visit us off White Ave, south of 102nd Street, or browse online at mrdirk.com.
Specializing in heavy-duty commercial truck powertrain repair, performance, tuning, and part sales, Adrenaline Diesel's professional team is ready to assist you with all of your needs, from the simplest oil changes to engine conversions, overhauls, and engine modifications. Featuring an all-new online parts store and machine shop to manufacture, replicate, or repair parts, visit adrenalinediesel.ca.
All right, time now for takeaways brought to you by Horizon Ag and Turf. John Deere tractors are more affordable than you might think, starting from only $254 a month. You can get into the seat of a John Deere compact utility tractor, whether you need to load, level, dig, mow, lift, push, till, whatever. A John Deere can make tough work easy. Visit your local dealer. Horizon Ag and Turf online as well at horizonagandturf.com or at one of their 13 locations. Good snowfall last night, Struds. Both vehicles covered in snow this morning. I took the blower out there and just whoop. Cars were completely clean. Took next to no time at all. Picked that up at Horizon Ag and Turf. And I had a smile on my face the whole time because it was easy. And then I got to go inside and play 18 holes in the sim today.
Sounds pretty good, but a blower is life-changing. I had mine out this morning too. You just feel so powerful. You strap it on and just... Snow is blowing all over the place. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, definitely. Highly recommend it. Struds, Brett Kulak's season has been blank. Fill it in.
Even better than I expected. Like he and I had pretty high expectations for him, right? And he's playing. It's like he's taken another step forward in his play. He's playing both sides. He's playing all over with different players. But it's his skating. He looks more confident to use his skating to defend and to jump up in the ice. And when you can skate like that and you have confidence, it's a real problem for the other team. And he's a big guy. This isn't a small guy. This is a big guy that can really skate and powerful. And I think his confidence gone to another level.
Caught up with Brett Kulak today to talk about his season, his speed. Got your backstory from him as well in the Weiss Johnson Soundbox. Here is Brett Kulak.
So I'm going to ask you a couple of did you knows about your season. You probably know that you're career high in goals and heading towards a career high in points. Did you know you're also a career high in average minutes per game? It's the first time in your career you're over 20 minutes a game. Did you know that?
Yeah, I'm aware of that. You can feel it when you're on the ice more and in the game more than any other season. So that's been a highlight for me for sure. You want to be out there as much as possible. So I've been having a blast getting out there as much as I've been able to.
It's clear during the regular season here that you are finding your high-end game as much as you have in your time here in Edmonton. I don't know if you'd agree with that, but it feels like the quality of your play really didn't take a step back from where you were at in the playoffs. Is there something you attribute that to?
Yeah, I think it is just more experience in the playoffs and more time. I've always had success in the playoffs, and it's easy to be into those games and get up and push yourself and play at your highest level. So I think it's just lots of reps at that level. It's allowed me, at times in the regular season, it's a long year. There's sometimes you go a couple of weeks and you might be tired and whatever. You think it's mid-December and there's not as much on the line in the games as there is, but. So I think it's just been a case of that playoff experience and the intensity and getting reps at that where I've been able to, bring it more to the regular season.
Big for your team, Brett, in that, you guys know, you look at your roster heading into a season and you guys just traded Cody Ceci. There's some unknowns coming in. For you to find this level this year is really important for this team. Like, you've been able to play top 4 minutes regularly. You must know that coming in, that there are holes to be filled, and if you can do it, it's massive for this group.
Yeah, I knew in the offseason, we lost three defensemen with Darnay, Broberg, and CC. And you just see right there that, I knew I had to step up my game, and I knew I was capable of it too. And those are opportunities you wait for, and you want to be ready for them. So I think just coming to the season in that mindset, that helped me to, just visualize what was ahead for me. And I've seen a lot of what I've expected, and it's been good.
With that in mind, how impressive have you been with Ty Emberson? Because he showed up, not a lot of NHL experience. He comes in, probably some pressure from the market, thinking, he's going to play here next to Darnell or this or that. But really his game has come along on that third pairing. The minutes have gone up, responsibility. What have you noticed?
Yeah, he's been awesome. Like you say, for not having a ton of experience coming in, he's just every day he's consistent in his work ethic and wanting to get his game better. And I think it's shown. He's growing in all areas of the game. He's skating. He's more confident moving the puck and making plays. And he's very responsible defensively. And I personally really enjoy when I get to play with him. So he's been a huge addition to the team.
Yeah. So you have that unique experience of being from the area, playing on this team, being around town. When you came back here, I'm sure you were excited about it. It's a few years now. What's the day-to-day experience of playing for this team, being where you're from?
Yeah, I think, like you say, it's just peak excitement when you first come. Everyone's happy, and there's been some ups and downs for sure, but still just to be able to feel the impact I have on my community just outside of Edmonton that I grew up in is pretty cool. Anytime I go back and spend time out around town, and if you see anyone out or they talk about their kids and how much it means to them that I'm playing for the Oilers, and just for the kids to see that they can do it too, just growing up playing in the same rink and doing the same steps that I took. I think that's always a special feeling for me. So
we weren't sure defensively coming into the season what this group was going to look like because of all the changes. Yet when you run the numbers, from a defensive standpoint, you guys are really, really solid, as good as it's been in a little while here. Where do you think that came from, given all the questions coming in?
Yeah, I think, it could be expected that we had a little bit of a slow start to the year and lots of new faces, so we didn't want it to turn out that way, but that's the way it went. But I think it's just everybody, the character in the room and everybody, the pressure they put on themselves to be better and improve every day, and the work they put in and just the preparation for the games. And I think that's just added up over time to we're playing some pretty consistent hockey, and yeah, we like where we're at, but we know we got to be a lot better, especially in the last few months and in the postseason.
Last one before we grab your backstory. I want to ask about your speed. One of your best attributes, you skate as well as pretty much anybody out there on a lot of nights. How have you learned over the years to make sure you're using that the right way? Because just skating full speed all the time isn't necessarily the way to do it. How do you think you use your speed?
Yeah, it's important. You don't want to, like you say, I think over the years I've just learned to, within your shift, you're not going to have every shift where you're able to wind it up and get to full speed. And I think you have to understand that and pick your spots within your shift of where you're going to exert max energy or if you're going to kind of lay in the weeds a little bit and kind of wait for something to open up and use it then. But yeah, I think over my career, there's lots of different situations where you learn to use it. And it's not necessarily just speed, it's just balance and body positioning on guys in puck battles or protecting the puck on someone when you're wheeling the net and just things like that. You learn and get comfortable in different positions with it. Allows you to kind of showcase the skating ability more.
Great stuff. Podcast has got your back. We love getting stories from guys about a time in their life where somebody had their back. So what would Brett Kulak's story be?
I think I'm not going to mention any specific stories, but just I want to give a shout out to my older brothers. Coming up through school, we're 2 years apart, each of us, so it was always nice having older brothers coming up through school and the grades ahead of you, and they could always make sure I was taken care of, and no one was kind of getting in my business or giving me a hard time. So it was nice having those two guys.
Were there instances where they had to step in for you and help you out as the big guys?
Yeah, there definitely there was a couple for sure. Yeah, I can think of 2 or 3 off the top of my head, but yeah, maybe a story for another time off the air.
Sounds good. Yeah, 100%. Gotta love older brothers. I got a couple myself. Thanks for doing this, Brett. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Ryan. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, there he is, Brett Kulak in conversation. Struds, what stood out to you?
I think that the skating for me is a huge thing because it is. He's so good at it, and for him to, understand when to use it. And I've heard him interviewed previously. He said, I kept working on my skating, even though it was really good. I kept working on it. So the idea of knowing when to turn it on, when knowing not to turn it on. And I'm going to look more on the defensive side of the puck. Like he likes to surf over. So that means he'll come from the right side and then skate over to the other guy. If it's maybe a 1-on-2 or a 2-on-2 and force that guy to the wall. And then the other D man, usually nurse, supports underneath. And it's really wild actually, because when you skate that well and you see this guy coming at you, it's like, oh my God, this guy's got me. So that's what I like about it, understanding when to use that speed and when not to. And he kind of talked about it there in that interview.
Yeah. Ask Chris Knobloch about his speed as well, Struds. He had an interesting observation on retrievals and how that relates to Kulak using his speed.
The better a skater a defenseman is, usually the tighter his gaps can be. He feels more comfortable that if you're on top of somebody, you're not giving up much space, but you've got the ability to recover pucks because of your skating ability. If you don't trust your feet, you're a little bit slower. You tend to cheat a little bit, get back on those dump-ins. But what happens is when you're cheating, you're giving up more space in the neutral zone. Your gaps aren't as good, which allows the other team to carry the puck into the zone. So, I think a lot of his game is determined on his skating ability. And, when he's playing well, he trusts his feet and he's doing that well.
Does that relate a little bit, Struds? Like, this guy is such a good skater that definitely changes what you feel confident to do in the neutral zone.
Yeah, so when you're not sure you're able to get back to pucks in time, you usually cheat and stay. Like, let's say the puck's in your zone. Now it goes out of your zone. They're regrouping the far blue line. You don't get all the way back up because, if they dump it in, I want to get back to it first. And coach is always saying, get up. But the further you get up, that's a longer way back. You have to skate to go get that puck. And that means Connor McDavid or Nathan McKinnon is chasing you down. So he's so right, though. Brett gets up so easy. He gets back so quickly. So he's defending on both sides of it, right? Getting back to the puck first on the breakouts. But also, if the guy tries to skate it in, he's up there and he can hold that line or defend a little bit better.
Awesome stuff. Great analysis, Struds. And our thanks to Brett Kulak for taking a couple of extra minutes with us today. All right. Before we get to our next break, Struds, let's talk a little bit more trade stuff, but maybe a little bit more around the league. This is our Taking a Trip segment brought to you by Alberta Blue Cross. If you're planning a trip, whether it's a dream vacation, a quick winter escape, or a trip to watch the Oilers play, don't forget travel insurance. Alberta Blue Cross has your back with emergency medical care, cancellations, lost baggage, and more. Flexibility, reliability, maybe even at lounge access or a hotel if the delay is too long. Visit ab.bluecross.ca/travel to learn more. Struds, you teased everybody with this one earlier. The big reveal, bud. Who is the big physical forward who you think the Oilers could potentially or should potentially have in their gun sights?
So you task us with, okay, what are we going to do? What are the top things we want? So Brownie put his in, and then I agree with all of them, but there's got to be something else. And I came up with a physical forward. So I was scouring through rosters, and I feel as confident about this player being the right solution as I did about Adam Henrique. That's how strongly I feel about this player. And I'm going to go to Buffalo, Jordan Greenway. He's an absolute monster of a man, a mammoth of a man, if you wish, in Utah. Now, there is a bit of a wrinkle. He had some surgery before Christmas, although according to head coach Lindy Ruff, he will be back before the end of the season. Now, I don't know what that means. It's pretty broad, but before the end of the season is at least something that's healthy. He's a UFA or pending UFA after this year. He makes $3 million, and he is a beast. And we've seen him when he was in the Wild. He's heavy, hard, and not fun to play against. And I just envision a series against Vegas where he's getting his 12 to 13 minutes and getting in on that forecheck and making life wildly uncomfortable for that group. So this is specific to the Oilers. I don't know if if Buffalo wants to trade him, but that's a player I would definitely look at, Chager, for the Oilers.
As if he were healthy. I mean, if how much action is he going to get in between here and the trade deadline? Would definitely need to be back in the lineup, definitely need to be playing games. Now, he did score 10 goals last year. So, bigger body, bangs around quite a bit, but can also finish at a fourth line level, which you appreciate. I think he, adds some toughness, which I like. I'm not going to complain about the idea of adding a physical player to the lineup. How do you feel he moves? Like he would slow this group down. He's not a great skater, my recollection of him.
At best he'd be average. But his role will be to get in there and to wear other people down. And I have a hard time envisioning the acquisition cost being high. And there's a lot of question marks. And I think was it Thomas Tatar that was traded when he was on IR, I believe. So there's a history of that happening.
Yeah.
So I get everything you're saying, but I truly feel that this guy is what they need. And I've seen him play some really good games for the Wild, really good games. So he knows how to play the game.
I like the suggestion, buddy. That's a good one. That was taking a lap, taking a trip. Maybe Jordan Greenway will be taking a trip. Brought to you by Alberta Blue Cross. All right, we got our last break coming up here, but Struds, let's grab the scoreboard before we do. Brought to you by Canadian Club. The all-new CC Classic 18-year-old high proof comes in at 58%. Their highest proof Canadian Club Classic to date. Full-bodied whiskey with aromas of caramel, toffee, spicy vanilla, and rich oak with a butterscotch finish. What else is going on out there today, buddy?
Well, the Stars are out in Florida. Bennett, Barkov, and Tkachuk all scored for the Panthers, and they beat the Kings, and that was a nice friendly deal for a team that really screwed the Oilers off last year in the playoffs. So they lose 3-0. We've got the Wild beating the Leafs 3-1. Philip Gustafson, we mentioned, 31 saves. That's a pretty good night for him. The Canucks, even amongst all the turmoil, find a way to get 3-1 win, although they're outshot by 10, 32-22. Niels Höglander, I mean, this guy, I've always liked him as a player. The first moment I saw him play, I liked him. He scored only his fourth game of the year after having plus more than 20 last year. Then after that, the Devils beat the Flyers, and they keep get it going. So yeah, the Kings losing, that definitely helps out the Oilers.
All right, good stuff. That's our scoreboard brought to you by Canadian Club. All right, when we come back, we'll get to our Ask Us Anything segment. We had lots of discussion about trades tonight, lots of discussion about SOD. Send us your thoughts. Send us your questions. Steve Taylor is tracking all of it, and we'll get to that in our Ask Us Anything segment. Nice number on the stream here on an off night. We really appreciate that. Throw us a like if you don't mind. We would greatly appreciate that as well. And by the way, Steve, I'm going to take the blame on the title. So the title of our show, which we will change, is okay. And this is my fault. Steve asked me what I wanted the title to be tonight. I said, "Let's talk trade / Kulak in conversation." Like, we're going to have a conversation with Kulak, but I can understand how some are reading it as "Let's talk trade." Kulak in conversation, as though Brett Kulak's in the conversation and about to be traded. My bad. right? You'd think that I don't do words for a living, so we will adjust that. Apologies if we threw the wrong message out there. Steve, there was some feedback on that in the stream.
Yeah, we'll change it to plus Kulak in conversation, something like that. And in your defense, Shogger, you sent me the first part of the title, and then about an hour later sent the second part. So you weren't thinking about them together either.
No. So why don't we just change it? Conversation with Kulak. Maybe I think that would probably clear it all up. So we'll make that fix when we wrap up tonight. We don't want to be the bearers of salacious rumors. We don't do that on this show. Some others might. That's not us, right? We are factual, Struddy. We are grounded in reality and truth. Brett Kulak, not in the conversation for being traded. Ask Us Anything is coming up. Stay with us.
With over 18 years in the industry, Kelly Zaretsky and her team at Blue Summit Accounting deliver client-focused solutions and financial guidance for success in a simple and comfortable way. Whether it's for corporate or personal needs, Blue Summit Accounting can help with taxes, estate planning, financial services, bookkeeping, and more. Get in touch today. Email bluesummitacct@gmail.com or call 780-416-9662.
Thinking of that dream vacation? A quick winter escape? Well, flight delays are dreadful. Hospital visits, not fun. Alberta Blue Cross gives you coverage for emergency medical care, cancellations, and lost baggage. Flexibility, reliability, even lounge access or a hotel if the delay is too much. Plus 24/7 travel support ensures you're never left out in the cold. Visit ab.bluecross.ca/travel to learn more. Mike Smith says, grounded in reality. Factual, Shogger. You just claimed you shot 79 in a sim and then admitted some Autobot counted your putts. Come on, man. Okay, let me clarify. When it comes to hockey, we are grounded in truth and sim. We're always going to BS about our golf games. That just comes with the territory. Time for Ask Us Anything, brought to you by Mortgages by Maria. The Bank of Canada continues to lower rates. Drop them again. I'm not going to do the ad read. I'm just going to tell you that Maria takes care of mortgages for Randine and I. And on a day like today where the rates drop, you're just wondering, what am I doing? Am I locking in? Like, I'm one of those guys that's kind of riding the thunder. Had that bad luck, ended up having to renew when rates were high. And so Maria has been a great advisor to us the entire way. She's given us great advice. So I was on the horn with her today. She was accessible, gave us great advice as well. So highly recommend that you get in touch with Maria Gallus from Maximal Mortgages, mortgagesbymaria.ca. And thanks for the conversation today, Maria. Much appreciated as always. All right, Steve-O, what do you got tonight there, my man?
Okay, sorry, I was just doing a few things there. So yeah, I mean, in terms of the Saad conversation, Jordan Noah here just seems to sum up what the chat is saying for the most part, which is simply, it would be awesome to have Saad on board for cheap. So if the price is right, fans are happy to have him. And that pretty much sums up most of the conversation on the chat.
Yeah, and that does make sense. I also want to clarify, if there are rumors out there or, talks about a player, I think players want to come to Edmonton, Struds. I think if you're John Klingberg, you're picking Edmonton for a specific reason. I think if you're Brandon Saad, you scored 26 goals last year. You're not that old. You're playing for contracts, and we're going to hear about Edmonton being a destination where these players want to come. Now, whether it's mutual or not, I'm not sure. Why wouldn't Brandon Saad want to rejoin Stan Bowman on this ride?
Yeah, I get it. And Stan knows him, right? That's a huge thing when you're adding these final pieces. The boat's getting a little full, guys. So if someone comes in, someone probably has to go out. So who's that out? And why are they leaving? And how are they leaving?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I'm wondering, how can you fit Saad and Rantanen in Struds? That's the big one.
My dream line is Rantanen with Draisaitl and Paul Colson. That's such a big, heavy line. What a nightmare to play against.
That would be a pretty good line. Yeah, that would be a pretty good line. Yeah. Where are you trading Darnell Nurse to make that happen?
All right, Dr. Swisha says, is Savoy going to get any games in before the end of the year? What do you guys think?
Wouldn't stun me. Wouldn't stun me. Reports out of there are pretty good. Would not shock me. We'll see what the roster looks like, if there's a need, if there's space. But it would not stun me, Struds, if they wanted to give him a little look-see.
Yeah. Okay, I get it. So there'll have to be an injury, right? Because aren't they kind of full?
Yeah.
Isn't the boat full? So
like if the opportunity comes up. I don't think they're going to do what they've done with Philp and like shove people out of the way.
Right.
But I think earlier in this year, even if there was injury and such, I don't think it was there yet. And I think it's there now that if the opportunity presents itself.
Yeah, and I think that makes a lot of sense. So if there's an opportunity for a couple games to come out, it'd be great. But I wouldn't have that as a priority as far as what I'm trying to do right now, because I don't see him being a key cog in a run for the Stanley Cup this year. But moving forward, 100%.
Okay, Gomez is wondering, Shogger, he wants the story on Brown getting jokingly bag skated for hitting coffee today with a puck.
Oh, yeah, you check my Twitter feed. So Connor Brown came in on a drill, fired a puck, deflected off Skinner straight into the corner and hit Paul Coffey in the face, busted him open. Didn't go down, stayed on his feet, but went to the bench leaking. And as he's skating off the ice, I think it was Draisaitl was like, "Who was it?" Somebody yelled out loud, "Who was it?" And so I was like, "Brownie." And then somebody hollered something. So Brown did it like an over and back, where you basically start at the blue line, you go all the way down and then all the way back. So they made him do a drill for hitting Hall of Famer Paul Coffey in the face. Yeah, it was a bit of a tough one. I told you the story, I think, Struds, when I was 16 years old at Blazer training camp. And that was the year Kevin Lowe was, I don't know, what are we calling it, a holdout, or didn't have a deal with the Rangers or whatever. So he was skating with the Blazers first day, and somehow I made main camp. So I'm in main camp first day, and Kevin Lowe's skating around out there. And we're doing one-on-one drills, and I go down one-on-one against Kevin Lowe, and I'm just in a panic. I cut left, cross the front, fire a backhand, follow through, and rip his chin open.
Oh, geez.
Busted Kevin Lowe's chin open as a 16-year-old rookie in my first training camp on my first day of main camp.
Jeez, that's tough.
Yeah.
It happens, though.
He remembers.
That's hockey. Right?
He remembers. Yeah, he held it against me. That's why he was so bitter with me in all those press conferences. Steve-O.
Yeah, that's what it was. Okay, Noel Rinsky says, do you guys think, this is when we were discussing the Canucks, by the way, do you think fans and media were this critical of sports teams before social media came out? And Ace96 chimed in and said, well, I remember some loud debates in bars about the Oilers in the 80s, and there was some more conversation, and Noel Rinsky hopped in again and said, I don't remember it being bad at all during the dynasty years, and not even this bad during the decade of darkness. So just, thoughts on social media and like Struds, you never had to go through that with your team, even though at times you were playing on a team that maybe wasn't performing that well. What do you think about just all the critical aspect that social media brings in?
Well, it allows more people to congregate together, not in actual person. They can do it online, and then they can get more loud and more people to follow them. And that's true for anything. That's everyone. So the bake sale or the Oilers power play, right? Everyone gets worked up, and then it becomes the echo chamber, and everyone gets even worked up more and more. So like I do believe that Twitter, I think Twitter was around when I was there. Or maybe it just came in after.
It was like we brought in Twitter when you were with the team, Struds, and it was like, I remember at the beginning we'd get Tom Gilbert to he had to text it to a phone number. Remember that? He'd be like, we just landed in LA.
Yeah, right.
So it was brand new.
And Facebook, I wasn't on any of those. And I honestly would advise any player not to, because it can become really toxic, right? And it doesn't help. It doesn't help your situation. So I would advise against it.
Yeah, and I would say that it's as toxic as you want to allow it to be. Like, you choose whether to click on, like, if you see a tweet, you choose whether you want to click on those mentions and read through them. You know it's going to be a bunch of hot garbage, but you choose to do it, so you've made that choice. If you choose to just follow people who are generally solid reporters that go about their work a certain way, and that's all you follow, and you don't dive into their mentions, you'll have a feed that has, and I know the algorithms throw garbage at you, and it's a little bit different. But I think we all have a choice in how insane we want to let it get. But social media definitely has been a game changer. I remember a headline back in the day, Pody's gotta go. Terry Jones just literally running players out of town. That was before Twitter. So you wonder if it was this harsh, if it could be this intense, yeah, it wasn't available 24/7.
Right. Pod goals in while we were discussing Kulak.
Great handle.
Yeah. He said, remember in the offseason where the CC trade Kulak was battled around like it was a toss-up? We sure kept the right guy. Yeah, so just an interesting perspective from Pod Goals. And what do you think, Streds?
Yeah, I mean, the time to trade Kulak was 2 years ago when you would put Broberg in as a regular. That was the time, right? And I didn't want to trade him because of poor play, because of a bad contract. Broberg needed a way to see on the NHL team. There was no way for him to get on there. So you draft the player, you develop him, and then there's no way to get on the team. So that was the guy that had to go. Now, Broberg was one who left ultimately. So yeah, I'd never thought of trading Kulak except for that reason.
Yeah, I mean, making some space for a real good young pick. I would have understood if the Oilers had chosen to do that, commit to Broberg, show him where his spot is, let him have it, and rock and roll. But it's worked out okay. Ty Emberson has been really, really good. Brett Kulak has taken, you talk about putting Broberg in that spot and letting him grow into the role. Well, I mean, Brett Kulak has been, improving and blossoming in that role too. So it's actually worked out not bad. And when you consider what St. Louis is paying Broberg and you look at what Kulak and Emberson make combined, like it's worked out okay. The Holloway thing, no good, but...
Yeah. Sorry Koskinen says, I wonder where Jeff Skinner's head is at. Do you think he'd rather cruise in the press box, get a couple playoff games to end the streak and maybe a cup ring? Or would he want a chance at real ice time with a lesser team? What do you guys think? Shagar?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know him. I know that when I was in a playoff run, I was excited to be with the team, but I wasn't playing at all, sometimes. And so you're like, oh man, I wish I could play, right? I just want to play, but then you're also going to be on a team that wins Stanley Cup. So you kind of go back and forth because you always want to think about the team first, but also you want to be a part of it. I thought, what if I played 0 playoff games and got the cup for a day? The lady that, is holding my cards while I sign them has played as much as I did in that playoff run, right? So I don't know. I'll just say it again. I believe this is coming to a head where these two are going to have to figure it out. And they'll have to move on because it's clear that Skinner's not a path. There's no path for him to play here, Shaggy.
Yeah, I'm regretting not pulling the clip right now. Chris Knobloch had a clip about Jeff Skinner, who, by the way, was skating on the third line. Basically talked about how he'd been playing well. It's not always fair. You got to come out of the lineup when you're playing well. But I should have grabbed it. He spoke, with as much sort of like care about the effort level versus the opportunity as he has this season probably about Skinner. So we're going to see him get some opportunity. Struds, I'm not entirely convinced that you're right, that it is just a foregone conclusion that it is done. There's a chance Jeff Skinner scores a huge playoff goal for the Oilers this year. There's a chance. We'll see what happens with Evander Kane, what his availability is like. But Jeff Skinner's got lots of money. He's been in the league a long time, made a ton of money. I can't help but think that he's just sitting there going, just give me a chance here. Like he's biding his time and waiting and feeling like if he gets a legit chance that he feels is a legit chance, that he's going to be able to do something with it, and he wants to win a Stanley Cup and probably believes he can do it with this team. Just give me a chance. I don't think it's sulking. I don't think it's, head down, sulking around saying, get me out of here. I think he's raring to get a chance and dig in here. And we'll see if it can happen or not.
Okay, let's do one more from Paulie. So when we were discussing the Oilers' needs before the trade deadline, Paulie's opinion, we need a bottom six forward with grit and size, a bigger body on D that's not Josh Brown, maybe Murphy from the Hawks, and a healthy Kane. Problem is solved if Stu plays a .915 save percentage. What do you think of Paulie's?
It runs through a lot of what we talked about tonight for sure. I think most of those things were on our list right there.
Yeah.
Stu in the playoffs, like the save percentage against Vancouver was rough, Struds, right? He definitely was not great in that series. A lot better against Dallas, better in the final. Stu Skinner's playoff performance is going to be really, really interesting to watch this year. Can he truly grab it, keep it, start to finish this year in the playoffs?
A guy who's been through it once, I'll give him that chance. I truly believe that.
Completely agree. A couple more there, Steve-O, and then we'll wrap this bad boy up.
Okay. Jay, well, quite the long handle, but his name's Jay. When there was an argument going on, said we have a Pedersen Miller situation going on right now. I got your back.
Oh, we do?
Well,
who's that? Would that be me and Struds?
That was you and Struds back then. It was.
Yeah. It's nothing like that. We definitely, Struds and I decided a long time ago that we're just going to put it aside for the betterment of the show, Struds.
Mm-hmm.
You know, put it aside.
Got to move on, right?
Bigger people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's close the poll then.
Buddy's wife once. Happens once. And just almost topples the show.
Yeah, let's do the De Boer's Golf Shop and Fitting Center poll results. So again, the question was, which name would you choose for Utah's NHL team? The 4 options being the Utah Mammoth, the Utah Hockey Club, or the Utah Wasatch. So the Utah Mammoth came out ahead at 64%.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, pretty commanding lead there. 222 people voted, by the way. Utah Hockey Club was at 27%, and the Wasatch was at 7% only. There you
Interesting. Go. You know, Struds, I can't help but wonder if they won't move off of Utah Hockey Club, because one of the benefits of doing it this way is they've sold all these jerseys with people. We're changing the name. If you're buying Utah HC stuff, it's going to be different later. Think about the revenue opportunity for switching it and starting fresh and basically having all those repeat customers, as opposed to the bulk of your paying fan base already having your stuff.
That makes sense. I mean, I'm not, those names are all good except for the obvious one that's brutal, but it seems like there's a lot of traction in that market, and that's a good, healthy thing, because Arizona was a real tough market for the various owners over the years.
Yeah.
All right. That was Ask Us Anything, brought to you by Mortgages by Maria. And we shall wrap the show today with the play of the day, brought to you by Gallery Dental. Take the first step towards a stress-free dental experience, providing modern dentistry for today's patient with the most up-to-date dentistry, sedation, implants, and so much more. Contact GalleryDentalYEG.com. Struds, I don't know if you have anything specific. I'm going to tap myself for this one, unless you've got something specific.
I had one, but I yours. I want to know how great you were that you sabotaged the play of the day. What do you got?
Well, no, this is more, I would say this is, it's a little more self-deprecating than anything. I was on the phone with Zuby today while I was going through.
I forgot about this. Zuby texted me, and he actually said he wanted a write in Ask Us Anything. So I'm glad you brought this
really?
up.
He was going to bring it up. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
His question is Zuby wants to know about the funny story that happened on the phone today, and why anyone would order their caramel macchiato with an extra stir.
Okay. So here's the thing. It's the play of the day, Struds, because my drink today from Starbucks was the best caramel macchiato that I have ever had. So I ordered it. There's something about it. I wasn't enjoying them as much, and I didn't know why. And so I went through the drive-through today. I was on the phone with Zuby, right? Deep into significant business discussions. A lot of it about you, Struds. We'll get to that a different time. And I'm chatting with Zuby on the phone. I'm like, hold on a second. I'm just going to give my drink order, right? Grande, skinny, caramel macchiato. You got to go the lactose-free milk, right? Tommy, be careful. With an extra stir. And that extra stir, Struds, that drink, it was an absolute thing of beauty. So play of the day to me for asking for the extra stir and enjoying one of the best coffees I have ever had.
I'm sure it was. I'm sure that was the difference. Now, you were unable to stir it yourself, that extra stir?
Yeah, but the thing is you're driving. So the only way to stir it is to cover the little hole and do this. And then the hot coffee burns that little tiny piece of skin on your thumb that you're covering it with. And that's bothersome to me. Wow. So I had them do it. It was dynamite, buddy. It was so good.
Oh, that sounds great. I could never order that order. My wife orders all kinds of crazy things at Starbucks. I'm like, I don't even want to be at the window. I get out of the car and walk, and she just orders. It's so embarrassing.
Pod Golson says Gallery Dental deserves a refund for this segment.
Yeah.
Talking about, I've gifted you all. Try it. Next time you roll through, give it a try. Extra stir. Then all the flavor doesn't end up at the bottom, right? Oh my goodness, Shogger, says Shane Matheson. I know, buddy. It's revolutionary. Give it a go. Chicken wings with a fork and an extra stir on your caramel macchiato. Thanks, Struds. We'll talk tomorrow night, buddy.
Yeah, good times. It'll be a fun game tomorrow night. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Real competitive game. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it, pal.
You bet. Thanks, boys.
All right, and thanks to all of you for joining us tonight on the live stream or for downloading us in podcast form. We greatly appreciate it. If you get a chance, head over to iTunes and leave us a review. Maybe not about that specific play of the day, but leave us a review how you feel about the pod in general. We'll talk tomorrow night after the Oilers and the Detroit Red Wings. See ya.